KU started the week as the top team in the Big 12, the only team with one loss. The Sooners had dropped 3 out of the last 4 in league play, but got a boost when Ochai Agbaji left the game with a wrist injury and sat for 8 minutes. The Sooners didn't get a lot out of the Graves brothers, who scored 58 against Kansas in last year's NCAA. Barely double digits between them tonight. But Ochai and Brown, heroes late in a game that went down to the wire. Hawks win it by 3. Jayhawk Gameday Live is on the air. And welcome inside the Booth Family Hall of Athletics with 1988 National Champ Jeff Geldner. I'm Dave Stewart. Okay, that was scary with Ochai.
Yeah.
He goes right into the possession arrow metal bracket on top of the scorer's table, and you're wondering, is it broken? Is it sprained? How long is he going to be gone? He missed about 8 minutes and was able to come back in, couldn't hit his shot, doesn't get a bucket till 5:37. Then when somebody has to get a big bucket, he hits 3.
Yeah, you never know how to respond, first of all, to injury, and obviously everybody in Jayhawk Nation was holding their breath, and it did appear when he came back in, it was a little ginger with the grip, and he was definitely favoring it, setting screens, but when it was money time, and that's really what you count on him to do. He made 2 big threes down the end. Christian Brown, the same thing. And this was a game where the Jayhawks just never were in sync offensively. Defensively, they had their moments. They were okay. You know, they didn't do anything well in this game. They seemed to want to push the ball when they should pull it out, and they seemed to pull it out when they should be pushing it. Didn't get a lot of anything from a lot of people on the roster. But a low possession, low scoring game allows for that when you don't have to score 90 to win. And this was one of those games. You hang around, you get on the road, and you have a chance to win, and your stars make plays. And that's exactly what they did. Nothing fancy. It was ugly. Bill Self's going to say we were lucky to get this win, but it is a win.
You get on the bus and don't ask questions at all. Okay, you're right-handed. Ochai's right-handed. Left hand means what? It looked like he was able to dribble okay, but you do need both hands to shoot, to dribble, to pass. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, and as Bill Self said at halftime, x-rays were negative. That's good. So then the next question is, what did he do? Did he bang it on something, or did he bend it back more of a sprain? It's 2 totally different things, because one, well, either way, it's going to be a pain tolerance thing, but one is going to take a lot longer to heal if it's a sprain, and that's where you get that power when you're gripping the basketball. It didn't seem to affect him at all dribbling it, which is good, but again, to be what he is, you need to have access to both of your hands, and he goes right into the monitor there, or into the display, and it's just so hard to tell if he bends it or smacks it on there. But no broken bones is huge. It becomes a pain tolerance thing, and obviously everybody's different how they're going to deal with that. Credit to him, he came back out, he had a wrap on it, no pad, which again tells me it might not be a bruise. I'm not a doctor, and Bill Self's not either. No. It might be more of a sprain to where he bent it. And so we're going to have to see. The other thing with injuries, they generally hurt a lot more the day after and the day after that. You've got the adrenaline of the game when you get back out there, so it's definitely going to be something to watch.
And keep in mind, Remy Martin's been dealing with that bone bruise in a knee for a while. Played 15 minutes tonight and was ineffective. And so you're right. I think that wrist is going to hurt worse. When you have a wrist injury, if there's a lot of swelling initially, they'll retake the x-ray to make sure. I don't know that he had a lot of swelling there, but it's one of the things that, I mean, it doesn't magic. He's not going to wake up tomorrow and feel 100% on that side.
No, and if there's ever a time you're glad it's not a Saturday, Monday turnaround, no disrespect to your Wildcats, you know, they do have some days off to get ready for Kansas State on Saturday. There were other things that weren't right in this game, though, with this Jayhawk team. You know, DeJuan Harris shot 10 times. That might be a career-high amount of shots. Granted, most of them were in the paint, but they weren't necessarily always what Bill Self was wanting to get. Another one of the down nights for David McCormick was not a presence at all, especially on the defensive end. And we're going to go down the list, I'm sure, but the one thing we haven't talked about either, Jalen Wilson, 16 and 8, very productive game, making some threes again. If he continues to add that to his arsenal, it makes him that much more dangerous. It's a win. I don't believe OU is all that good of a team, but it was one of those games where the Jayhawks did not play well, and they still found a way to win, and you hear Bill Self talking about that a lot.
Okay, let's go to the highlights. We have a lot to discuss over the next hour or so. We'll, of course, have all of the interviews. And, you know, we've seen DeJuan Harris make a play like this for a game-winning shot misfired, but we saw it early. Jalen Wilson there to follow it.
Yeah, he's active. He's generally always around the rebounds. But, you know, Jayhawks had, again, too many unforced errors and turnovers in this game, and that was one there by Ochai. And then just where's the rim protection? Just right to the goal for a layup. Just one after the other. This, again, defensively, they were okay. Christian getting out and doing what he's done many times. The only thing he didn't do was stop and flex to the crowd. Remy Martin, you thought, okay, maybe this is a sign of things to come. You know, a night where the Jayhawks need a little bit of a punch, but that was the only shot that he made.
And again, here's the moment by Ochai. And some guys just let that ball go out of bounds, but I think that's what we've seen out of him consistently from an effort standpoint.
Yeah, and you can't turn that off. You know, obviously he's thinking, I don't want to run into that. He tried to stop and lost his balance, and that's how it happens. And sadly, seasons can come to end like that for players, and it doesn't seem it's going to be anything like that. He's definitely in pain. I guarantee he's nervous too, and sometimes that fear, you know, becomes a factor as well.
Took 10 minutes for McCormick to score a bucket finally over Groves.
Yeah, I made the comment while we were watching the game. I think Chris Piper could score over Groves. He doesn't move and he can't jump. But yet the Jayhawks didn't get really anything in the paint. They were outscored 40-32 in the paint. Fortunately, they got enough on the perimeter from Jalen Wilson in the first half to keep him ahead or at least near it.
Yeah, after dominating West Virginia in the paint, at that point it was 14 aside when Harkless scored. But OU on an 11-0 run. C.J. Nolan, the freshman, for three. Sooners led by 4. KU got energy off the bench. Mitch Lightfoot doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they had 13 bench points, and he had 9 of them. So other than that, they really got nothing out of the bench. But, you know, a huge shot here by CB. Again, very quiet night. He was kind of hanging around that 10-point, and then all of a sudden he hits the 3 and 2 free throws, and he has a 15-point night. But once again, just a live ball turnover, an errant offensive possession turns into a layup on the other end, and you can't have it, especially when you go on the road.
Brown had to come back into the game with 2 fouls because Oklahoma, that 20-4 run, able to get that game where Sooners looked like they were in position, and that's the look at the numbers up and down halfway through what gets your eye.
Well, really, this is why it's close. 2-point game. Everything's pretty even. You know, it was not well played. It was very hodgepodge. You know, the turnovers had something to do with that. The Jayhawks really had nothing going on in the paint. From a consistency, from a drive the ball downhill, from a post presence, and still were able to figure out ways to score. They got nothing from Ochai, obviously, and we kind of wondered all year, what's going to happen with this Jayhawk team when Ochai is not scoring 25 points? We got a little bit of sampling of that tonight, and they were able to weather the storm.
Let's go to the second half. Ochai did begin play the second stanza, maybe a little bit hesitant to shoot, didn't have complete confidence, but other ways to help that time, finding McCormick stretching the floor.
Yeah, and to me, this is a positive sign, not just that David made the shot, but you're running a play for Ochai to post up. If you're worried about his injury, you're not putting him in there where there's going to be contact. So that's a very positive sign. Jalen Wilson taking what the defense gave, which was good to see. Here's another one of those where, you know, again, really not much resistance. All David has to do is just be patient enough, and he'll get a layup, and that's what he did.
Back-to-back buckets, 12-point lead, but Oklahoma able to cut it to 5. 3-ball in the corner. Gibson, 44-39. Oklahoma had a 10-0 run to get within 2, but Christian Brown would stop the bleeding.
Yeah, a huge play there. Didn't see a lot of that tonight where the wing players and guards were getting in the paint to score, and that's a big-time move there at a time when the Jayhawks really weren't getting anything done offensively. That's a shot that Ochai makes almost every time, but great hustle by David McCormick. Unfortunately, he couldn't convert. Not sure what happened with his shoe, but another empty possession. But this is one of the few kind of fast points that Jayhawks got, and Jalen Wilson getting out on the break and taking advantage of that. And once again, getting into the paint, drawing double team. We didn't see the Jayhawks do a lot to make the game easier for teammates tonight.
Yeah, that was Ochai's first bucket, 5.5 minutes to play. Then Hill off the air ball. Mayween was there, and it was a 4-point ball game. Set play for Ochai to make it a 1-point contest, You bet he did.
Absolutely, and it's funny, it's such a basic play, but when you execute it, it'll work, and it worked tonight. And that's just bad defense there. He kind of got caught out of position. Ochai, he's been doing that all year. He's just generally not going to miss that shot, wounded left wrist or not. Again, very strong move here. When he first got back in the game, he lost the ball like that on a play where I thought maybe his wrist was bothering, but right now he's going on adrenaline. And Christian Brown making a huge play and then annoying the Sooner fans is always fun to see. But Ochai, made that play by drawing the double team and making it easier for his teammate. And
because Ochai is able to drive, Oklahoma has to respect that.
Right.
In the kick out, and here's how it ended, and 4 seconds is not a lot, and arcless from 67 feet.
Yeah, and no timeouts was really the key there. You really couldn't run any type of a play. You couldn't get it to half court, call a timeout, try to do something different. 4 seconds left. You'd like to get a little something better than that, but as a Jayhawk fan, I'm glad they didn't.
67-64 the final. Christian Brown with a huge shot at the end. He didn't lead Kansas in scoring. He had 15, one behind Jalen Wilson. As we take a look at the final numbers, and of note, 47% is below KU's season average field goal wise. However, they shot 47% from three-point range, 8 out of 17, and you see the same number of takes by Oklahoma, half as many makes.
Yeah, only 6 free throw attempts. Bill Self's not going to like that. That's a lack of aggressiveness and a lack of getting into the paint and trying to make something happen. Settling for jump shots or turning the ball over, one of the two things can lead to that. Got to be a lot more aggressive to get to the free throw line. And another game where they had more turnovers and assists. When you do that, you generally get beat, especially when you're on the road. But, and I mentioned this in the opening, Bill Self loves to be able to have a team that can win when they play ugly, and they maybe don't deserve to win. You still got to be able to gut those games out, and they did that tonight.
Okay, let's take a break for the first time. When we come back, Jalen Wilson, we will hear from him after a winner's performance. 16 points, 8 boards as the Hawks go to 4-1, which means nobody's going to catch him in Big 12, not tonight, not the rest of the week, as we continue our coverage on Jayhawk Game Day Live. Big 12 now, ESPN+. First half highlights are presented by Wendy's Buckets for Baconators. This season, score a $2 breakfast Baconator from your local Wendy's the morning after the Jayhawks win. Wendy's, the preferred breakfast of Kansas athletics.
Season tickets for the 2022 Kansas football season are now on sale and start as low as $185. We can't wait to see you in David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium, being loud and supporting our Jayhawks. For tickets or more information, visit KUathletics.com or call 800-34-HAWKS. See you soon, and rock chalk.
Back on Game Day Live after the Hawks win in Norman, Oklahoma. Jalen Wilson played down the stretch with 4 fouls. How does that change your approach? Because he's a guy that you're going to need him to be aggressive and to get a rebound. And KU, the way they were having some difficulty again, a game in the 60s, they needed him on the floor.
Yeah, usually where it hurts you is defensively. And you're not going to be as aggressive. You're going to let people go versus challenge. You mentioned it. He's such a vital rebounder for this team, especially in a night where they really don't get any from their 5 spot, but able to do it. And he also is one of the guys that was really kind of getting downhill at times and getting into the lane. You have to be careful not to charge. So credit to him. I mean, Ochai and Christian are going to get the lion's share of the credit because of what they did in the final minutes, but really Jalen Wilson was the one that kept him in the game, a large portion of it.
All right, let's go down to Norman for the first time for post-game coverage. We begin with Jalen Wilson, Christian Brown hot on his heels.
Your ability to just to take over when you know that Ochai's not at his full potential.
I mean, I just know that, when a guy goes down, we all have to step up for him. It's our responsibility to play as a team, even when, no matter who goes down. And today, I think we did that. He came back and gave us, some of the greatest plays of the game. So, like I said, one of our brothers go down, we just all got to step up.
The way that you guys played perimeter defense, holding them, kind of below their field goal percentage, what was the key?
I mean, we just know they have good shooters. They're able to space the floor well, and they're great cutters, as seen today. So, being able to make them guys, limit them guys to threes, and just make them take contested shots is what we're going to have to live with.
having to play a close game and get a close win against Iowa State, how much did you guys know that you had it in you to pull out a win here?
I mean, we just work on those kind of moments in practice every day. You know, situations, something that we do all the time, and I think we're very prepared for games like that. I mean, we've shown it in the past, and yeah, I think we love games like that because, you know, some teams will fold and some teams will overcome everything, and I think that's what we do.
How's Remy doing?
He's doing good. He's doing good. You know, we all keeping him up. You know, this games like this happen. You know, and mentally he's still there. We was all cheering as loud as we could, so he's good.
How big was Ochai for you guys just down the stretch? I think 10 of the final 17 were from him.
Yeah, I mean, he was huge. He was huge. I mean, he was able to come in the game, regardless of what happened in the first half, second half. It doesn't matter. You know, when the time counts, he always steps up.
Jalen, you guys go that 10-0 run to get the 12-point lead, and then it's gone like that. What happened there, and how hard is that to come back from that?
I mean, when we're on the road and we have a lead like that, it's definitely good to emphasize, you know, to keep that lead. But kind of let them get to the line, let Gibson see a wide open shot, and you know, with the momentum they can have with the crowd, it's kind of hard to, you know, fight through that. So we just had to figure that thing out.
Jalen, up 3, were you guys trying to foul?
Yeah. We wanted to foul the first time, but then the second time just, you know, live with the half-court shot.
In the first half, when Groves went out, you guys got 7 straight points at the rim. Were you guys aware that he wasn't in there just to kind of deflect what you guys wanted to do?
For sure. We noticed when he went out, just, you know, be aggressive on the drive and look to kick.
During that scoring drought where you guys went, I think it was like 8-something minutes. You know, what kind of went into that, and what allowed you guys to kind of snap out of it there at the end of that?
I mean, we just know who we are. We know who we are as a team, and we know how to fix things. I think during those 8 minutes, the ball kind of stuck a little bit, so we were able to flip that. We're very mentally strong, especially in moments like that. You can't get away from what you do best. So we just, you know, locked it back in and finished the game.
You say you love games like that. What is it about them that you like?
It's just, you know, the grit. I mean, those kind of games is just fun. I mean, this is what basketball's for, those kind of close games, and especially on the road when you got the crowd and everybody's into it and you're just able to just, you know, take that all away. I think that's what makes basketball so great.
Christian Brown, what'd you think?
Oh, that shot was crazy. I mean, to have the confidence to shoot that and hit that, and especially in that type of game when it's loud and stuff like that, I mean, that was a big shot of the game.
Jalen, what did you think about you guys' execution to get Ochai those 2 threes? I think one of them was an elevator to get him open. What did you guys think about that?
I mean, it was great. It was great execution, great play call. That wasn't even I think. Was
sideline number?
Yeah. So like I said, great execution. I mean, he's gonna have the confidence to knock that shot down regardless, and we knew that he was gonna be there open.
Of course, BG3, Brandon Green was the one who educated all of us about the elevator play. Coach Self wasn't necessarily happy that he drew it out on the chalkboard for everybody to see. But
add that to the list of things that he did that Coach wasn't really happy with.
Okay, so KU bench-wise had 13 points. There were only 5 players who played 25 minutes or more, so it was a small group. Remy Martin able to play 15 minutes, but he still doesn't look right. And what is it about his game right now, 1 for 5 shooting, that he's able to go out there and play? But when he bruised his knee in that game, he came back in after a short time, but he's still fighting it.
Yeah, well, one of the things that, his biggest asset his legs, his quickness, his ability to elevate and shoot and to finish, especially in the paint. And we saw him tonight. He made the step-back jump shot. That's kind of the Remy Martin thing. But he had multiple times in the lane where he came up short. And so you wonder if he's got the bounce that he really needs to have to do what he wants to do. I don't think it's not that he doesn't have confidence. He's not tentative. It's just not working right now for him. Is it his knee? Is he stressing too much, wanting to do too much with it? Who knows? But this team needs him. This would have been a perfect game with Ochai struggling early for him to come out there and kind of light the fuse for the team. It didn't happen. And really the bench in general didn't happen tonight. Mitch had 9 points. And other than that, they really didn't get anything. They didn't get rebounds necessarily. They didn't get points, nothing. And fortunately, it was a low possession game. It wasn't a high octane run up and down the court, so you could play your starters a lot of minutes. And the Jayhawks were able to withstand everything that you could throw at him.
I could be mistaken, but I don't remember Remy with that sleeve on his leg before.
Yeah, and again, that's designed to keep that loose and hopefully not to to bother him or to keep the inflammation down. It really seems like it's going to be a day-to-day thing for him, and getting some rest before Saturday will help. Much more concerned right now with what Ochai feels like in a couple of days, because that's something that needs to be watched, and obviously it starts with what the actual injury is.
Well, Jalen played with 4 fouls at the end. So did Christian Brown, and he's not going to get an offensive foul on a shot like that to win it on the road in the final seconds, but he was able to get that shot to go. And as we take a look at that one more time as a shooter, what are you thinking about there?
Well, it's like practice. This is why you shoot a million shots. You know, the one thing that you have to look through is the hand coming at you, but he's a tall, strong kid. He went up over him and knocked it down.
Hawks win. Back after this.
Hi, this is Bill Self with some straight talk about opioid abuse. We're all taught to share, but giving someone your...
Look at the updated Big 12 standings. Kansas up top at 4-1. Baylor lost twice. Last week fell from 1 to 5 in the national polls, and then you see the teams above 500 halfway. And you know, Kansas State beat Tech, that beat Baylor, and you know, Oklahoma, to me, not nearly as good as West Virginia, and yet KU dominated the Mountaineers here. Is it home court advantage? Is it that big a thing? Just the whole energy, the feel, the movement, ball sticking, all the thing Coach talks about. It looked like a different team we saw tonight versus Saturday here.
Yeah, well, if you know, according to Huggins, you know, what happened with West Virginia is they didn't make their shots. Well, I think the bigger problem was they didn't guard, and KU really got on a roll offensively. You know, whether or not you give all the credit to Oklahoma's defense or what you blame it on, the Jayhawks were just not in sync tonight. Bill Self mentioned in his quick halftime interview, they were sped up. Their decision-making wasn't good. They didn't have any consistent go-tos. They really weren't executing plays. You heard the announcers talking about Bill Self even saying, just go make a play. Get a rebound, do something. Forget about what we talked about. Just go play basketball, because they were really just out of sync. They looked like a group that had not practiced much, and some of that is playing on the road. Some of it's your opponent. Some of it maybe you're just, you know, you're not as into it. But what you have to figure out a way to do is win, and you rely on your leaders to do that. We were wondering if Ochai was going to be healthy enough to be that guy. He turned out to be that guy, along with Christian Brown, to pull it out for the Jayhawks down the stretch, and that's what you have to do. No one's surprised to see KU and Baylor at the top. What's really going to come down to, more than likely, are those 2 games in February, because I really don't see either one of these teams losing, you know, 4 or 5 games in conference.
All right, let's talk about that intentional foul for a second. Jalen Wilson tried to get one earlier. CB ended up getting it later on, so then there's time that's going off the clock. You want to foul somebody, that's the goal. You don't want to hammer somebody.
Right.
So all of a sudden it is an intentional foul. So the shooter is by himself and they get the ball. So how do you manage that in your head where, yes, you are trying to foul, and it is intentional, but you can't hack a guy?
Well, the Jayhawks did it so well, I really couldn't even tell they were trying to foul.
Right.
It was like, okay, well, I guess they're not fouling. You know, they're bringing it down. They got in the half court. They made a couple of passes, got it to a guy standing on the three-point line, and really what they called Christian Brown for was kind of a ticky-tack touch foul. It wasn't like he went out of his way. He almost was surprised they called a foul on him. So I really don't know what was going on. If Jalen Wilson wouldn't have said, yeah, we were fouling on purpose, they did the greatest job in the world of disguising they were fouling on purpose. That guy could have easily turned around and gotten a shot up if he wanted to. Again, it worked out okay. Then, of course, they couldn't get the ball in bounds to save their life, and that's something that this team continues to struggle with in those tight situations. It's just getting it in bounds. Fortunately, they were able to get it into Christian that last time, and he knocked down both free throws.
Okay, you want to hear from Christian Brown?
Love to.
Why not?
Love to.
Let's go back to Norman, the guy that hit the game-winning shot.
What was going through your mind on that three-pointer?
Oach did a really good job getting downhill, and everybody else stepped up and hit a big shot. So it was, it was my turn. And like I said, Oach made a great play, just like he did with DeJuan. Got downhill, made a great pass, and I just had to hit the shot.
How do you feel about the way your team played defensively tonight?
We struggled. We went on runs. They went on runs. We just didn't keep them down. I think we got up 7 and 10. I think at one point, a couple of times. But it's a game of runs, and we knew they come back a little bit. But we just kind of got to step on people when we get them down. But if you make big plays down the stretch, you kind of need games like that. Honestly, you don't want it to be that close, and you don't want to lose. But games like that, going forward will be really valuable.
Was the ball sticking a little bit tonight?
At times, I think when we were at our best, obviously the ball was moving really fast. And then some guys get hot a little bit, the ball sticks a little bit, but that's all right sometimes. Jalen played really well today. It was good for that. But when the ball's moving, we're really good on offense.
When you guys got up big and then they made that run, at the end of the first half, Do you think you guys got kind of out of rhythm too sped up?
I wouldn't say too sped up. I think Juan did a good job, and Remy did a good job when they were in there. Keeping us calm. They're good teams. There's a lot of good teams in the Big 12, and they threw some stuff at us that we weren't ready for necessarily. I wouldn't say sped up or anything like that. I think that, like I said, we're going to learn from this, and this will be valuable going forward.
Chris, what did Coach tell you guys up 3 with 10 seconds left? What were you guys trying to do defensively?
Switch 5. Normally when we're up 3, we'll switch all 5. And then you just try to stay up on everybody. Don't help. So we got the win. That was what he was mainly focused on.
Yeah, you fouled. Was that Jalen said that was part of the plan? Is that something you talked about?
Yeah. It was a part of the plan. But we had him in a good spot, and I didn't try to foul him. I don't know that I hit him very hard, but we were saying foul, so I think that kind of, obviously if you're saying foul and the ref sees that or hears that, whenever you touch him, it's going to be a foul. You can do it either way, and we fouled and it ended up working out, so it's great.
Jalen said you guys love these games, and when they come down to that, what is it about them that you like?
Well, we talk about becoming a team a lot, and Coach always tells us you're not a team until you go through some adversity and you go through some stuff. And these games like that is the adversity he talks about, and it's not one that that helps you, but you got to have those going forward. Iowa State was a great one, but you string some of those good wins together and making big plays down the stretch. Osh was great, by the way, down the stretch. But you string those games together, and that's kind of when you become a team and you're battle tested a little bit. So that was good for us.
On the 3 you hit there, are you expecting Ochai to go get his shot there? Or I know you're ready to shoot, but what's your mindset when he's got the ball?
Like I said, it was so similar to Iowa State. I think with the Juan, Och gets downhill. Och is the best player in the Big 12 right now, probably the best player in the country, to be honest with you. And so everybody's going to look at him. And both times everybody's looked at him. He's made the right play. We expect Och to make the right play every time down the stretch. Makes good shots. We want him taking shots, obviously, but if he can make the right play, then that's what he's done. Two games in a row, and it's worked out both times.
Okay, so what about the foul call? Wasn't supposed to. I didn't foul him. Wasn't trying to, and then I didn't.
Yeah, at least again, I wasn't seeing things because there's no way that Christian Braun went in this possession planning to foul. Because here's the first thing: nobody's doing anything. He could have fouled him there. Finally, what they called was nothing, and Christian was surprised that they called a foul. He's like, so they may have talked about it. Jalen Wilson may have made the whole thing up, but Christian Braun seems to me like he got caught up in the moment and didn't remember he was supposed to foul. And Bill Self's going to cast a deciding vote on that. Hey, they're kids. Everybody makes mistakes. You caught up in a moment. For CB to say, well, we had him in a good spot. Did you? He was standing on the three-point line. All he had to do was turn around and shoot a 3, and that's really what you were probably not supposed to do. But it worked out fine. He definitely made up for it with what he did after that. But it will be interesting to see if Bill Self has asked that question.
Well, if the vote's 14-0 and Coach votes the other way.
Exactly.
Coach has
15-14.
He has the hammer.
Right.
Okay, when he talks about switching all 5, what's that mean?
Well, you've got 5 guys out there that relatively same size in general can guard the other 5's player. You're not going to get caught up on a screen. You're not going to get carried away with any type of movements that the offensive team does. What they basically do is just point. And even if they're not in a switch 5, they just point and switch it. And so you never let anybody get ahead of steam. You never let anybody come off a screen, or you never get caught underneath a screen. So in other words, there's nothing easy. You can't do that all the time in a set offense, especially if the other team's got a big man. But in a game right at the stretch, KJ Adams can really guard everybody that's on the court anyway, and that's who they had in the game.
We hear it a lot when people are talking about, putting the foot on somebody's throat. You're up by 20. Why didn't you win by 50? Well, it's hard to maintain that same intensity. The other team is working to try to reverse whatever thing that you have is working at the time. So what's the way that you approach that when you're up 20? And you've even said it before, there are games where KU might be up by 13 and you're like, yeah, they should be up by 23.
Right.
And Bill sees the same thing.
Right. Well, it's hard because in today's basketball, there's 2 ways really you can build a big lead. 3. The other team's terrible. The other is you're making your shots, and especially when in the 3-point era, if you get a team that's on a roll making 3s, a little bit about what KU was able to do against West Virginia and build that lead. The other thing is just offensive execution, and that's really not something you see a lot of in college basketball. There's so much individual plays. You don't see a lot of set calls Teams run it to perfection. They get the shot they want. They come down the next time, do it over and over and over. Gonzaga is about as close as you're going to get to seeing 5 guys really playing together, moving the ball, and executing at a high percentage on the offensive end. That's how our teams used to do it, is just execution, being able to just every time down the court, doing something and making the right play. And then obviously you've got to get stops on the defensive end as well.
Oklahoma now 12-6, 2-4 in conference play under their first-year head coach, Porter Moser, and of course he took Loyola to the Final Four only because they had the 150-year-old nun. I mean, she was right there blessing the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I think
the basketball.
His staff and the Iowa State staff, they probably lift together during the week because their shirts are probably a size. They're all wearing mediums, and they definitely need a size larger because he spent some time in the weight room. And you hear the reporters talking about it. What a great hire for them. You never want to lose Lon Kruger. Let's call it what it is. But what a great hire for them. Weird year because he brought in a whole new team, to fill spots, only 4 returning players. He's done a great job of kind of putting it together. It's going to be a year or two before a program really looks like it's his.
Lon likes Vegas. He can golf all the time. He can help his son be a first-time head coach.
There you go.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, the Sooner head coach, and it's going to be one of the games where you scratch your head all night, don't you? And wonder, how did we lose this lead and game at home?
Welcome to
Jayhawk Game Day Live is brought to you by Wendy's Buckets for Baconators. This season, score a $2 breakfast Baconator from your local Wendy's the morning after the Jayhawks win. Wendy's, the preferred breakfast sandwich of Kansas athletics. Delta Dental of Kansas, unleash your smile power. Learn more about individual and family plans at deltadentalks.com. Gates Heating, Cooling, and now Plumbing. Service makes the difference. Kansas Strong, strength through reliable oil and natural gas. Get the facts at kansasstrong.com. And brought to you by the Sonic Patty Melt. For a limited time, only at Sonic. Jayhawks protect first in the Big 12 Conference, and think back, it's been 10 months since we saw the Groves brothers in that Eastern Washington first NCAA game, and Tanner was the one that had 35 tonight, 8 points, 4 for 13 shooting, 0 for 4 from 3, and he had 5 boards. That did not look like the same guy. And, before when he was playing Alpha Martech in that league, this is going to be a different grind. And he's commented on the physicality, the demands of the league for a big guy that's built like Paul Bunyan. But why the contrast from what we saw in the tournament to tonight where he was ineffective?
Well, a couple things can happen. One, the windows are very small. You're not always going to have, a full second or two to get that shot off. You got to be a lot quicker with your release. Tonight, he missed some wide open shots. It's not like David McCormick was locked in and keeping him from shooting the basketball. He missed a couple of easy ones. The other thing that happens in a game like this, you start getting fatigued. I mean, if you're playing a lot of minutes and you're relied upon to be out there and you're having to battle athletes, Jalen Wilson and David McCormick and Mitch Lightfoot and all these guys, it wears on you. And it's harder to make three-point shots down the stretch versus just standing on a three-point line and letting somebody feed you. And everything can kind of play a role. You can also just have an off night, and that might have been one for him tonight.
29 minutes is a lot for a guy of that size. Let's hear from Oklahoma's head coach, Porter Moser.
And you got to tip your hat. I mean, Abaji hit 2 high-level threes, and Christian Braun hit a lot high-level threes. 3 older veteran guys who's been in a ton of games hit 3 major threes down the stretch. And you got to tip your hat to those shots they hit right there.
Appreciate it, Porter.
Go to Justin Martinez.
Hey, Porter, appreciate you taking time to talk to us today. I want to ask you about the crowd. We saw on Twitter that you had that you were hand delivering pizzas or something like that to the first 200 students. Just what did you see in terms of the atmosphere tonight?
I just said it on the radio. I just want to thank them. I thought it was great. The students were unbelievable. I thought it was a high-level college game. I mean, under 2 minutes, Kansas was on offense, and that's what makes those shots even better from a veteran top championship team. I mean, they rose up and hit some major shots with the crowd going crazy. And players got to make those. You got to make some plays like that. In the games like that, I mean, you got to make some plays. And I thought we made a lot of plays. I thought Jordan Gowar had his best. It was his best game since Arkansas. And the word I use is control. Jordan was in control of our team. His pace, his tempo. He wasn't forcing things. He had good reads. He took it when he had it. He kicked it when he didn't. 4 assists, 1 turnover, 15 points. He was into control. And just a lot of good things. We've still got some shooting woes. I thought we had some shots. I thought actually we had some open shots, from 3. I thought CJ Nolan's in concussion protocol at halftime. We found that out because CJ had 8 points in 7 minutes, and he was giving us a great lift. He was 2 for 2 from 3, and the rest of the team, I think, was 3 for 15. No, 2 for 15. We were 2 for 15. So, got to make some shots. But we're doing a lot of things. Playing really hard. I looked up at one point. I know they scored a lot at the end because with a lot of free throws and those threes. But it was like 48 points with 5. I don't know how much time it was against a team like that who's just high-powered transition. So just got to get over the hump. And that's the message. We're not going to lose these guys. We're going to come back, and I want to play Baylor right away. With these guys, how hard they're playing, they're not happy. They're not satisfied. So we'll get right back to it and start preparing for Baylor.
Appreciate it. We'll go to John Hoover.
I like to be able to see the sports information guy and the reporters that ask the question. Don't you always wonder, you're talking on the phone to somebody that you've never met before, and I had no idea.
No, I don't ever wonder, but I do like to be able to hear the actual question, which is nice. And I'm sorry, he would be just from a visual, he would be a great coach to play for. Very, very high energy. Looks like he just did 3 sets of 10 with dumbbells before he came out there. He likes his team. He likes how hard they played. He's very energetic. You can tell how he's going to build this program and going to have success there. Obviously, you've got to have the right kids to play the way you want to play, and he's kind of piecing it together this year. But I always enjoy, we don't get enough of the other coach press conference. I like to hear what they have to say, unless they come out complaining about referees, in which case I'd just turn them off.
Okay, last week there were 11 Big 12 games. 7 of the winners scored in the 50s or 60s. KU was in the 60s tonight with 67. I want to go back to West Virginia by comparison. KU scores 85 on Saturday. They won the assist category 23-5 last week. Oklahoma had an edge 13-12. Points in the paint against West Virginia 54-20. KU. Oklahoma tonight 40-32. Those are 2 pretty significant categories. Why the dramatic number flip?
Well, and if you really look at that game, KU only had 32 or 33 points at halftime. So it was really the second half where the Jayhawks took it out. And making shots can do that. You'd mentioned being on the road versus being at home. The crowd gets going and you're fired up. An afternoon game in Allen Fieldhouse, there's nothing like it. You get on a roll. The other team not making shots or missing threes and letting you get out in transition for easy baskets. That's the one thing that doesn't happen in these low possession, low scoring games. There's nothing easy, and sometimes you got to create that. You have to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that you get. It's going to be a battle. Every game's going to be close, or you at least plan on it being close. It's an outlier for what happened for a 26-point win for the Jayhawks against West Virginia. It's definitely not the norm, and tonight is more about what you expect to see. There's a lot of tape on every player, on every team, and what they want to do. These coaches are good. They take away tendencies. You've got to go out and earn it, and the Jayhawks did just enough tonight to earn it.
We don't see a lot of it this year, and most of the KU players that I've talked to over the past 40 years love the game at Allen Fieldhouse when the sun is peeking through. Okay. I look at the schedule this year. Baylor is a 3:00 game, February 5th. Oklahoma's a noon game on the 12th. Then Texas here on the 3rd, March 5th. That's when they play that Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, that TCU makeup game in between. But to me, that Baylor game is in part because of the matchup, defending national champions against the team that's heavily favored. 8 out of the 10 coaches picked to see Kansas go back to winning the conference title. That's a 3 o'clock game. What is it about the sun sneaking through that there's a different feel?
Right.
When we go out there and sometimes shoot in between when it's dark, the building just feels different.
Yeah, well, and so many gyms are just enclosed. You know, it's more of a dome, or it's just a very sterile building. You know, and just to have glass and to have natural light coming in like that is huge. And obviously, I'm partial, being a Jayhawk, but I think that's part of it. You don't get to see a lot of it. You definitely don't get to notice it the way that you do in afternoon games here. And but it's not going to win you any games. You still got to go out and play. It's not like the sun is. You have to flip a coin and pick which end you want to go to in the second half because
you're not wearing Oakleys.
Yeah, you don't have eye black or anything like that. You still got to go out and play. And the Jayhawks, as you look at the schedule, there's plenty waiting for them. Take the Kentucky game out of it. That's more for the fans. Bruce Weber's going to have his team grinding. That game might end, 28-26. The way that these two teams are playing right now, and we'll wait to see what happens with Ochai. It's going to be a battle there, and so many more of them on the schedule.
And by February 1st, KU will be rid of both Iowa State and Texas Tech off the schedule. Just getting started with Baylor, that first game here. Okay, let's take a break. We're eventually going to hear from Bill Self because you know that he has a lot to say.
He's lifting weights right now, just like Porter was.
Porter's he's giving blood after the game, so he's making sure that vein is available to give another. Back on Jayhawk Game Day Live, the Sunflower Showdown coming up on Saturday at their place in Manhattan. That is a 3 o'clock start. We'll be here with pregame at 2:30, and I have no idea what to expect out of K-State. Bill Self, I think, told Fran Fraschilla that K-State could have 3 wins. They could have 4. They led every game in the second half, a couple of those with COVID-shortened rosters where they had double-digit leads in the first half, let them get away. Nigel Pack has been in a slump the last couple of games. Mark Smith, the transfer from Missouri, is really good.
Right.
He's a good player. Bradford, their big body, heavy-legged center, he's not going to give you 20-plus minutes, I don't think. But I think you're right. It's going to be a game where it's going to be ugly because that's what Bruce Weber likes. Just muck it up,
right?
Play a lot of defense and intentionally grind the clock down to nothing.
Yeah, and try to be in the game late and have a chance to win. And you mentioned it. Tonight's game's a perfect example. I mean, the Jayhawks had 2 players, or Porter Moser said it. Jayhawks had 2 players make 3 shots down the end, and then obviously Christian made the 2 free throws. But that's the difference. You have guys that make the teams that make those plays at the end, they win. Those that don't, they lose. And that's how quickly it can swing here or there. And all of a sudden, you're looking at an entirely different record on the standings. Bruce Weber, there's no way he's coming in this game in that game on Saturday thinking, you know what? We can beat them 95-90. We just need to get an opportunity. That's not how he coaches. That's not what he's thinking. He doesn't have the horses to do that. So he's got to try to muck it up, as you said. And he does a really good job of that. His teams have always played hard, generally not pretty. But, again, a road game in the Big 12 is always a challenge.
Thought Mike McGurl is one of the seniors for the next 3 years would have a bigger impact on the team this year. He really hasn't. He does have 7 points tonight at Texas Longhorns lead by 4 in the second half as we take a look around the conference. And Baylor was able to keep pressure on Kansas with a victory that game at West Virginia. And again, Mountaineers have some talent. They're just not great. Kansas State, it's now 44-40. We can update as I'm looking at it live here. 14:54 to play in the second half. That is a halftime score. Tech leads Iowa State by 3. And of course, the KU game you see there, you watched it with us as the Jayhawks go to 4-1 in conference. But we've had a chance, either a team that KU's played so far, and it's only been 5 conference games, but to be able to look around and see that, I don't know if it's a top-heavy league when people are talking about, 6 or 7 teams in the NCAA. We hear that a lot early on in the season. Who knows? I think it's still going to be kind of middle-heavy. I still think there's some elite teams, and that KU and Baylor are the 2 more elite that separate from the pack.
Yeah, you've got the marquee names of KU and Baylor. They're the ones getting the most national attention. Number 1 team in the nation, top 5, top 10 team in the nation. But anytime you've got 3 or 4 other teams that are ranked, I wouldn't call it a top-heavy necessarily, in that it's a pretty deep league. And when you go on the road in conference, any conference, you know you're going to get a battle. And forget the record, forget it all. I mean, look at that score at the Iowa State-Texas Tech game. It's 26-23 at halftime. Wow, that would be a fun one to watch. Both teams are probably shooting 10%, and it's just a bloodbath. But so often that's what you see in conference play.
Well, let's see. Iowa State is shooting 31% from the field.
Yep.
They have 23 points. Texas Tech is shooting 39%.
Wow, I stand corrected.
18%, though, from three-point range. 10% for Iowa State from distance. 1 out of 10 from three-point territory.
All right.
Okay, we're going to take a break, continue our coverage here as the Hawks get it done in Norman. It wasn't pretty, but who cares? If you get a win anyway, you don't make excuses. You just take it, get on the bus, and go home. Jayhawks win 15-2. If that sounds familiar, yeah. That's, KU's done that 16 straight years to be at that level. And that's kind of where we are as we take a look at the big box score. And again, not much out of the bench, in part because not many minutes given to guys like J. Cole and Yesufu, who was coming off a good game. And, you know, again, that's a funny thing with an ankle injury. You never know. You step on a curb funny.
Right.
And your ankles aren't taped, which they are most of the time if you're an athlete. Who knows? And KJ Adams, who'd been a starter, now off of the bench, only 3 minutes. But what's the most important things that you see up there?
Well, I think you mentioned it, and really got nothing from the bench outside of Mitch's 9 points. There wasn't a whole lot to offer. And you mentioned Yesufu. I mean, that a lot like Remy Martin. When you're an athlete and you rely on your quickness and your burst from your legs, and you've got a bum leg or a bum ankle in this case, it makes it that much harder to come back from and really be the player that you are. We have not seen Yesufu be the player that played at Drake. We haven't seen that the scoring explosion that he showed so often down the stretch last year. This is just another example, another game where the Jayhawks they didn't put it together. You know, they've had games where the starters have gone off, nothing from the bench, or vice versa. Nobody really did anything. And really, if it weren't for the last 3 or 4 minutes of this game, you know, Ochai had at one point had, 2 points, maybe 4. You know, Christian Brown had 10. And they were just kind of muddling through. And then boom, 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 boom. And all of a sudden, you've got a guy with 15 and one with 10. And they finished strong and looked decent on the stat sheet. But it wasn't that way for the first 36 minutes of the game.
Yeah, Ochai had all of his points in the last 5 minutes.
Right.
K-State coming up this weekend. They're down by 2 at Texas, 13-25 to play. Mark Smith, the transfer from Missouri, is 7 out of 10. Noel, he looks good. He's not doing much tonight, 1 for 4. And again, Pack not shooting great, 3 for 8. We're going to take a break and come back. And well, I wish I could tell you that Bill Self was going to be coming up. Sometimes stuff happens that we overpromise. Not very often.
Right.
Not very often. But, you know, we'll come back and say something smart because Jeff
that's what we
likes to talk.
Exactly.
Back with more after this.
Makes the difference.
Season tickets for the 2022 Kansas football season are now on sale and start as low as $185. We can't wait to see you in David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium being loud and supporting our Jayhawks. For tickets or more information, visit KUathletics.com or call 800-34-HAWKS. See you soon, and rock chalk.
Jayhawks can get their 200th win against Kansas State in that series game in Manhattan on Saturday, of course, when Bramlage opened, which was about the time Lon Kruger began his journey across the country in the NBA. And the best shirt ever was, nobody beats us at home 25 straight times, or whatever, when K-State finally won a game. I mean, if you're a K-State fan, you have to laugh at the fact that KU dominated that series Saturday.
You couldn't laugh a whole lot while you were dodging chickens and coins, though. That's the problem. So you never know really what you're going to get there, but what you're going to get is a hard-fought game.
Gold coins. Those are gold coins from the upper deck of Ahern. There's a look at KU celebrating a victory. We'll be back this weekend when KU plays in Manhattan, 2:30 pregame. See you then.